Wake up early in the morning, not because the world demands it, but because your life deserves it. The first hours of the day carry a power that most people never touch. While the world is silent, while distractions sleep, while excuses are still quiet, you are given a choice. You can remain in comfort, or you can rise and claim control over yourself. Waking up early is not about chasing success or competing with others. It is about discipline. When you wake up before comfort has fully taken hold, you prove something to yourself. You prove that you can act without being forced, that you can move without waiting for motivation. This self-mastery is rare and it is valuable. In the early morning, the mind is clear. There is no rush, no noise, no pressure to perform. You can think without interruption. You can breathe deeply. You can observe your thoughts instead of being dragged by them. This clarity shapes the rest of the day. A calm beginning creates a steady mind. Most people wake up already reacting. Alarms are ignored. Phones are checked. Stress begins before the day has started. But when you wake up early with intention, you lead your day instead of chasing it. You decide how your energy is spent, where your attention goes, and what deserves priority. Waking up early trains discipline in its purest form. No one is watching. No one is rewarding you. The effort is invisible. Yet this is where character is built. Each morning you rise when it would be easier to stay still. You strengthen your will. That strength stays with you when challenges appear later in the day. The early morning is also a time for alignment. Body, breath, and mind move together. A few moments of movement awaken the body. Slow breathing steadies the nervous system. Awareness sharpens focus. These simple actions prepare you for demands you have not yet faced. Comfort will always invite you to sleep longer, to delay effort, to choose ease. But comfort never creates growth. Growth requires resistance. Waking up early is a daily practice of choosing growth over comfort, purpose over pleasure, intention over impulse. Consistency matters more than intensity. One early morning changes little. Many early mornings change everything. Over time, this habit reshapes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles to start and begin seeing yourself as someone who acts with intention. Waking up early also teaches patience. Results do not appear instantly. Progress is quiet, but discipline compounds. What begins as effort becomes routine. What feels difficult becomes natural. Inner strength grows without noise. When you wake up early, you gain time, but more importantly, you gain control. Control over your thoughts. Control over your reactions. Control over how you show up in the world. This control does not make life easy, but it makes it clear. Those who master their mornings develop a calm confidence. They do not rush unnecessarily. They do not panic under pressure. They have already faced resistance and overcome it before the day demanded anything from them. Wake up early in the morning and meet yourself before the world tries to define you. Use the silence to strengthen your discipline, the stillness to sharpen your awareness, and the time to build the person you want to become, choosing effort over comfort, clarity over chaos, and self-mastery over habit. Each time the sun rises, the morning reveals your discipline long before the world begins to watch. The moment you open your eyes, a quiet decision is already waiting for you. There is no applause, no pressure, no reward in sight, only a choice between comfort and commitment. Discipline does not announce itself loudly. It shows up in these private moments when no one is counting, when excuses feel reasonable, and when the consequences seem far away. The morning exposes how you treat responsibility when it belongs only to you. Waking early is not about chasing productivity for its own sake. It is about proving to yourself that you can act without being forced. Alarms ring every day, but discipline is revealed by how you respond to them. Do you negotiate with the clock, bargaining for a few more minutes? Or do you rise with intention? The body may resist, the mind may complain, yet discipline listens without obeying every impulse. It understands that feelings are temporary, but habits shape identity. The early morning strips life down to its essentials. There are fewer distractions, fewer voices, fewer demands. In this quiet space, excuses become obvious. There is no one else to blame for delay or disorder. If you waste this time, you know it. If you use it wisely, you also know it. Discipline grows strongest when honesty is unavoidable. The morning does not judge you, but it reflects you clearly. Discipline in the morning is often built through small actions that seem insignificant. Making the bed, stretching the body, breathing deeply, preparing for the day with care. None of these actions change the world instantly, yet they change the person performing them. Each small act sends a message inward that you are capable of order, structure, and self-respect. Over time, these messages accumulate and become belief. Many people wait for motivation to wake up early, but discipline does not depend on motivation. Motivation comes and goes, shaped by mood and circumstance. Discipline remains steady. It acts even when motivation is absent. The morning is the perfect training ground for this skill because it demands action before emotion catches up. You move first and clarity follows. Morning discipline also shapes how you respond to difficulty later in the day. When you begin with intention, challenges feel manageable rather than overwhelming. You have already proven to yourself that you can do something hard. This confidence is quiet but powerful. It does not rely on praise or recognition. It comes from knowing that you kept a promise to yourself when it would have been easy to break it. The way you wake up influences how you think. Rushed mornings create rushed minds. Calm, structured mornings create steady focus. Discipline here is not about rigid control, but about conscious direction. Instead of letting the day drag you forward, you step into it deliberately. You choose where your attention goes before it is scattered by noise. Morning discipline also teaches patience. Results do not appear overnight. Waking early for one day changes little. Waking early consistently reshapes your character. This repetition trains endurance, the ability to commit without immediate reward. In a world that demands instant results, this kind of patience becomes rare and valuable. It strengthens your capacity to stay with long-term goals when progress feels slow. There is also humility in morning discipline. No matter how skilled or successful you become, the morning will always test you the same way. Status does not make waking early easier. Titles do not silence the alarm. Each day offers a fresh opportunity to practice discipline from the beginning. This keeps arrogance in check and growth continuous. Discipline revealed in the morning often extends into other areas of life. When you respect your time at the start of the day, you are more likely to respect your commitments, your health, and your focus. You learn to say no to unnecessary distractions because you understand the value of structure. Order in the morning creates order in thought, and order in thought shapes behavior. The struggle to wake early is not an enemy, it is the training itself. Resistance is proof that discipline is being built. If it were easy, it would not change you. Each morning you overcome hesitation. You strengthen the part of you that chooses growth over comfort. This strength is transferable. It appears when you face difficult conversations, demanding work, or personal challenges. Morning discipline also creates space for self-awareness. Without constant stimulation, you begin to notice your thoughts more clearly. You see patterns in your thinking, your fears, and your excuses. This awareness is essential for self-mastery. You cannot change what you refuse to observe. The quiet of the morning makes observation unavoidable. Over time, waking early becomes less about the clock and more about identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who acts with intention. This self-image influences decisions throughout the day. Discipline stops feeling like force and starts feeling like alignment. You are no longer fighting yourself as often because your actions match your values more closely. The morning does not demand perfection. Some days will be harder than others. Discipline is not broken by imperfection, but by inconsistency without reflection. Each morning offers another chance to practice again, to recommit without drama, to improve slightly. This steady return is itself a form of strength. Morning reveals your discipline because it shows what you do before rewards appear, before others are watching, before excuses are challenged by consequence. It reveals whether you are governed by impulse or guided by intention, whether you wait to be pushed or choose to move, whether you treat your time as something to spend carelessly or something to protect with awareness and care. Silence before the world wakes is a rare space that exists only for those willing to meet it. It arrives quietly, without invitation, before traffic moves, before messages appear, before responsibilities begin calling for attention. In these early hours, the world is not demanding anything from you, and this absence of demand reveals something essential. Silence is not empty. It is full of awareness, full of potential, full of truth that is often buried beneath noise. When the world sleeps, there is no competition for attention. The mind is not pulled in multiple directions. Thoughts slow down, not because they are forced to, but because there is nothing chasing them. In this stillness, clarity begins to surface naturally. Problems that felt heavy the night before appear simpler. Decisions feel less rushed. The silence allows the mind to organize itself without pressure. Most of the day is lived in reaction. Sounds, notifications, conversations, expectations constantly interrupt inner focus. Silence before the world wakes removes these interruptions. It becomes a mirror. You hear your own breathing. Notice your posture. Observe the quality of your thoughts. There is no distraction to hide behind. This moment asks you to face yourself without filters. Silence teaches patience. It does not rush to entertain or stimulate. It invites you to slow down and remain present. At first, this can feel uncomfortable. The mind, accustomed to constant input, may search for noise. But if you stay with the silence, something changes. Restlessness settles. Awareness sharpens. You begin to notice subtleties that are usually ignored, such as the rhythm of your breath or the way light slowly enters the room. In silence, intention becomes possible. When the day starts loudly, intentions are often replaced by reactions. You move from task to task without reflection. Silence offers a pause before movement. In this pause, you can choose how you want to show up, what deserves your energy, and what does not. This choice creates direction rather than drift. The silence before the world wakes also restores balance. It creates space between who you are and what you do. Without this space, identity becomes tangled with activity. You begin to believe you are only valuable when busy. Silence reminds you that presence alone has value. You do not need to perform to exist meaningfully. This quiet time strengthens focus. When you sit or move in silence, attention becomes steadier. You are not multitasking. You are simply there. This trains the mind to remain with one thing at a time. Over days and weeks, this ability carries into work, study, and relationships. You listen more fully. You act with more precision. Silence also reveals emotional patterns. Without external noise, emotions that are usually pushed aside rise gently to the surface. This is not a problem, but an opportunity. You can observe these emotions without judgment, noticing how they come and go. This observation builds emotional resilience. You learn that feelings do not need immediate reaction. They can be acknowledged and allowed to pass. In the silence of early morning, the body responds differently as well. Muscles feel less tense. Breathing becomes deeper. Movements feel intentional rather than rushed. Whether stretching, walking, or sitting still, the body aligns with the calm of the environment. This alignment creates a sense of groundedness that supports the entire day. Silence before the world wakes is also a form of respect for time. You are choosing to arrive before demands appear, to prepare rather than chase. This choice communicates self-respect. You are not surrendering the first moments of your day to external control. You are claiming them with awareness. The absence of noise sharpens perception. You notice the smallest sounds, the distant birds, the wind, the subtle hum of life beginning to stir. This sensitivity reconnects you with the environment. You are no longer separate from the world, but quietly observing it as it awakens. This connection brings a sense of belonging without words. Many people fear silence because it removes distraction. Yet distraction is often used to avoid discomfort. Silence does not attack you. It simply waits. In that waiting, you learn to sit with yourself. This skill is essential for inner stability. When you are comfortable in silence, external chaos has less power over you. The discipline of meeting silence daily builds inner strength. It requires waking earlier than habit demands and resisting the urge to fill the space immediately. This restraint is not restrictive. It is freeing. You are no longer dependent on constant stimulation to feel engaged or alive. Silence before the world wakes does not promise answers instantly. It offers something more valuable: clarity through presence. Over time, patterns emerge. Priorities become obvious. You begin to understand what truly matters, not because someone told you, but because the noise that obscured it is gone. In this silence, the mind rests while remaining alert. It is not sleep, and it is not effort. It is a state of quiet readiness. From this state, action later in the day becomes more efficient and less reactive. You move with awareness rather than urgency. The world will eventually wake. Noise will return. Demands will arrive. but the silence you met earlier leaves an imprint. It becomes a reference point you can return to internally, even when external quiet is no longer available. This inner silence becomes a refuge, a steady place beneath activity where clarity continues to exist. Even as the day unfolds around you, victory over comfort begins with recognizing how deeply comfort controls daily behavior. Comfort is subtle. It does not demand attention or announce its influence. It simply invites you to stay where you are, to delay effort, to avoid strain. It feels harmless, even deserved. Yet comfort slowly narrows potential by convincing you that ease is the same as well-being. True growth starts when you learn to see comfort clearly, not as an enemy, but as a test. The human mind naturally seeks comfort because comfort feels safe. It avoids uncertainty, effort, and discomfort. But progress has never lived inside safety alone. Every meaningful improvement requires stepping beyond what feels familiar. Victory over comfort is not about rejecting rest or balance. It is about refusing to let comfort make decisions for you. When comfort becomes the ruler, discipline weakens and purpose fades. Comfort often disguises itself as logic. It says you can start tomorrow, that conditions are not right, that you deserve a break. These thoughts sound reasonable, which makes them dangerous. Victory begins when you notice these patterns without immediately obeying them. Awareness creates space. In that space, choice becomes possible. Small acts of resistance build strength. Getting out of bed when the body wants to stay still. Choosing movement when rest feels easier. Focusing when distraction offers quick relief. These moments seem minor, yet they shape identity. Each time you choose effort over ease, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of acting against impulse. This belief is powerful. It changes how you approach challenges far beyond the moment itself. Victory over comfort trains resilience. Discomfort is not pleasant, but it is instructive. It shows you where your limits feel real, but are often imagined. When you stay with discomfort without escaping immediately, you learn that it rises and falls. It does not last forever. This understanding reduces fear. You stop avoiding difficulty and start meeting it with steadiness. Comfort weakens attention. When everything is easy, the mind drifts. Focus becomes scattered. Effort sharpens awareness. When something is challenging, you become present. Victory over comfort brings you back into the moment. It demands engagement. This engagement creates depth in work, study, and self-development. Many people confuse happiness with comfort. Comfort provides short-term pleasure, but rarely long-term satisfaction. Satisfaction comes from knowing you acted with integrity, that you did not betray your values for convenience. Victory over comfort aligns actions with intention. This alignment creates quiet confidence, the kind that does not depend on external validation. Discipline grows stronger through repeated discomfort. The first time you choose effort, resistance is intense. The second time, it is slightly less. Over time, what once felt unbearable becomes manageable. Comfort shifts. You become comfortable with effort. This transformation does not happen through motivation alone, but through consistent action. Victory over comfort also clarifies priorities. When life is easy, everything feels equally important or unimportant. Discomfort forces choice. You cannot do everything at once. You must decide what matters enough to endure effort for. This decision-making strengthens purpose. You stop chasing convenience and start committing to what deserves your energy. There is humility in choosing discomfort. It acknowledges that you are unfinished, that improvement is possible. Comfort often feeds ego by telling you that you are already enough as you are and therefore do not need to change. Growth requires accepting that while you have value, you also have responsibility to improve. Victory over comfort balances self-acceptance with self-discipline. Physical discomfort often teaches mental strength. Training the body, maintaining posture, controlling breath, or pushing through fatigue all translate into mental resilience. The body becomes a teacher. It shows you that effort is survivable, that limits can be extended gradually. This lesson carries into emotional and intellectual challenges. Comfort isolates. It encourages withdrawal from difficulty, including difficult conversations and responsibilities. Victory over comfort reconnects you with life fully, not just its pleasant parts. You become more capable of facing conflict, uncertainty, and pressure. This capability deepens relationships and increases reliability. Choosing discomfort does not mean constant struggle. It means intentional struggle. Rest still has value, but it is chosen, not defaulted to. Comfort becomes recovery, not avoidance. This distinction is crucial. Victory is not exhaustion. It is balance guided by awareness. Over time, the pursuit of comfort loses its grip. You stop fearing effort. You stop bargaining with excuses. Action becomes simpler. You do what needs to be done without excessive mental negotiation. This simplicity brings peace, not the peace of ease, but the peace of alignment. Victory over comfort reshapes identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who waits for ideal conditions. You become someone who acts despite conditions. This shift changes outcomes across every area of life. Opportunities expand because you are willing to endure the discomfort required to reach them. Comfort promises protection, but often delivers stagnation. Discomfort promises challenge, but delivers growth. Victory lies in choosing growth repeatedly, even when comfort offers an easier path, even when no one is watching, even when the reward is not immediate, even when the only proof of progress is the quiet knowledge that you did not surrender to ease when effort was required. Body, breath, and awareness are constantly interacting, whether noticed or ignored. They form a system that shapes how you experience each moment. The body reflects the state of the mind, the breath bridges the two, and awareness determines whether this connection is used or wasted. When these elements move in harmony, action becomes efficient, emotions become manageable, and attention becomes steady. The body is often the first to react to stress, fear, or distraction. Muscles tense before thoughts are fully formed. Posture collapses when confidence weakens. Energy rises or drops in response to internal states. Yet most of the time, the body is treated as a tool rather than a source of information. Awareness brings listening back. When you notice how the body feels, where tension lives, and how movement flows, you gain insight into your mental state without needing words. Breath is the most direct path to influence both body and mind. It is always present, always responsive. Shallow breathing often accompanies anxiety or haste. Deep, steady breathing signals safety and control. By adjusting the breath, you send signals inward that change how the nervous system responds. This influence is immediate. A single slow breath can soften tension that has been held unconsciously. Awareness is what turns body and breath into teachers instead of background noise. Without awareness, the body moves on habit, and breath follows emotion blindly. With awareness, each becomes intentional. You begin to notice patterns, such as holding the breath during stress or tightening the shoulders when focusing too hard. These observations allow correction before strain builds. The relationship between body and breath is circular. The way you hold your body affects how you breathe. The way you breathe affects how you hold your body. Slouched posture compresses the lungs and restricts breath. Upright posture allows fuller breathing and clearer focus. Awareness of posture alone can change mental clarity without any additional effort. Movement becomes meaningful when guided by awareness. Whether walking, stretching, or sitting still, attention transforms simple actions into grounding practices. The body becomes anchored in the present moment. This anchoring reduces mental wandering and emotional reactivity. You are less likely to be pulled into past regret or future worry when attention is rooted in physical sensation. Breath also regulates tempo. Fast breathing accelerates thought. Slow breathing slows perception. When the breath is steady, the mind follows. This regulation is especially valuable in moments of pressure. Instead of reacting impulsively, you create a pause. In that pause, choice becomes possible. Awareness of breath reveals emotional states before they fully surface. A sudden change in rhythm, a tightening in the chest, or a held inhale often signals rising emotion. Noticing this early allows response rather than reaction. You can soften the breath, relax the body, and prevent escalation. The body stores memory. Experiences leave traces in muscle tension and movement patterns. Without awareness, these patterns persist unnoticed, influencing behavior. With awareness, you can release what no longer serves you. Gentle attention to sensation allows the body to unwind naturally. This release does not require force. It requires patience and presence. Body, breath, and awareness together create stability. When the mind feels scattered, returning attention to physical sensation provides grounding. When emotions feel overwhelming, regulating the breath restores balance. When the body feels tense, awareness identifies where effort can be reduced. This integrated approach prevents any one system from becoming overloaded. Training awareness does not require special conditions. It begins with noticing what is already happening. The rise and fall of the chest, the contact of feet with the ground, the alignment of the spine. These simple observations strengthen attention over time. Consistency matters more than intensity. As awareness deepens, efficiency increases. Movements become smoother. Effort becomes more precise. You stop wasting energy on unnecessary tension. This efficiency is not stiffness or control. It is ease through understanding. The body works with you rather than against you. Breath-centered awareness also cultivates patience. You learn to stay with sensation without rushing to change it. This skill transfers to other areas of life. You become more tolerant of discomfort, more capable of waiting, more resilient under pressure. The connection between body and awareness also improves listening. When you are present in your body, you listen with your whole attention, not just your ears. You notice tone, pauses, and subtle cues. This presence deepens communication and reduces misunderstanding. Awareness brings humility. The body constantly changes. Energy fluctuates. Breath responds to countless factors. Observing this variability teaches adaptability. You stop demanding constant performance and start working with conditions as they are. This flexibility reduces frustration and burnout. The integration of body, breath, and awareness supports self-regulation. Instead of being controlled by external events, you maintain internal balance. You are less reactive, less scattered, more composed. This composure is not emotional suppression. It is clarity that allows emotion to pass without dominating behavior. Over time, awareness becomes continuous rather than occasional. You remain connected to breath and body, even during activity. This connection acts as an internal compass. When tension rises, you notice. When focus drops, you adjust. When energy fades, you respond wisely. Body, breath, and awareness are not separate practices. They are aspects of a single experience. When united, they create presence. Presence sharpens perception, steadies emotion, and supports deliberate action. Through this unity, daily life becomes a training ground for balance, clarity, and control without force or strain. Consistency builds inner strength in ways that dramatic effort never can. Grand actions performed once may impress, but small actions repeated daily change character. Inner strength is not forged in moments of excitement or urgency. It is formed quietly through repetition. Each time you show up, even when the task feels ordinary or progress feels invisible, you add a layer of stability to who you are becoming. Consistency removes the need for constant motivation. Motivation is emotional and unreliable. It depends on mood, energy, and circumstance. Consistency relies on commitment. When action becomes routine, resistance loses its power. You stop debating whether to act and simply act. This simplicity conserves mental energy and builds trust in yourself. Inner strength grows when promises to yourself are kept. Every commitment you honor strengthens self-respect. Every commitment you break weakens it. Consistency is how trust with yourself is built. This trust becomes a foundation. When challenges arise, you do not panic or doubt your capacity. You remember the evidence of past consistency and draw confidence from it. Repetition teaches patience. Results often arrive slowly, especially in meaningful pursuits. Consistency trains you to work without immediate reward. You learn to value process over outcome. This shift protects you from discouragement and impulsive decision making. You stop chasing quick fixes and start investing in lasting progress. Consistency also refines discipline. The first attempts at a habit require effort and attention. Over time, actions become smoother and more natural. Discipline evolves from force into flow. What once felt like struggle becomes part of identity. This transformation frees energy for deeper focus and creativity. Inner strength is closely tied to emotional stability. Inconsistent behavior creates emotional swings. You feel hopeful one day and defeated the next. Consistency stabilizes emotion by creating predictability. When your actions are steady, your inner state becomes steadier too. You are less reactive to setbacks because your foundation is not shaken by a single outcome. Consistency teaches humility. It reveals that mastery is built through repetition, not shortcuts. You accept that improvement takes time. This acceptance reduces frustration and ego-driven impatience. You stop comparing your progress to others and focus on your own path. Daily consistency sharpens awareness. You become more attentive to details because you encounter them repeatedly. Small adjustments compound. This refinement improves quality. Whether in skill development, health, or mindset, consistent attention produces depth that sporadic effort cannot match. Inner strength also grows through consistency under imperfect conditions. Waiting for ideal circumstances leads to delay. Consistency thrives in reality. Some days energy is high, some days it is not. Showing up anyway teaches resilience. You learn that you do not need perfect conditions to act effectively. Consistency builds momentum. Each completed action makes the next easier. This momentum carries you through resistance. Even when motivation fades, momentum keeps you moving. Stopping breaks this flow and requires greater effort to restart. Staying consistent preserves energy. There is a quiet courage in consistency. It does not seek recognition. It does not depend on praise. It continues regardless of external response. This courage strengthens independence. You become less dependent on approval and more guided by internal standards. Consistency also clarifies values. What you do repeatedly reflects what truly matters to you. Intentions without consistent action remain ideas. Action reveals priorities. This clarity reduces inner conflict. You align behavior with belief, creating integrity. Inner strength includes the ability to endure monotony. Many important tasks are not exciting. Consistency trains you to remain engaged without constant stimulation. This ability is increasingly rare and valuable. It allows sustained focus in a distracted world. Consistency supports recovery from failure. When setbacks occur, a consistent routine provides stability. You do not collapse into self-doubt because structure remains. You return to action without drama. This ability to continue after difficulty is a core aspect of inner strength. Over time, consistency shapes identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who does. This identity influences choices automatically. You choose actions that align with who you believe you are. Consistency becomes self-reinforcing. Consistency also builds mental clarity. When routines are established, decision fatigue decreases. You are not constantly deciding what to do next. This clarity frees mental space for higher level thinking and creativity. Inner strength is not loud or obvious. It is steady, reliable, and calm. Consistency cultivates this steadiness. It prepares you to handle pressure without panic and success without losing balance. Consistency does not eliminate difficulty. It changes how you meet it. Challenges become part of the process rather than obstacles. You stop seeing effort as a sign of failure and start seeing it as evidence of commitment. The strength built through consistency is transferable. Skills learned in one area support growth in others. Discipline in daily habits strengthens discipline in decision-making. Patience in practice strengthens patience in relationships. This integration deepens resilience. Consistency builds inner strength by transforming effort into habit, habit into identity, and identity into stability that endures regardless of external circumstances or temporary emotion. You lead the day, not the other way around. The moment you stop surrendering your attention to whatever appears first. Many people wake up already reacting, checking messages, rushing through routines, allowing external demands to decide their pace and priorities. This pattern creates the feeling that the day controls you. That time is always lacking and pressure is constant. Leadership over the day begins with intention, with the decision to act deliberately rather than automatically. Leading the day means choosing direction before distraction. When you begin without clarity, every interruption feels urgent. Tasks compete for attention, and the loudest demand often wins. By setting intention early, you establish a reference point. This reference point guides decisions throughout the day. You are less likely to be pulled into unnecessary activity because you know what deserves focus. Reaction drains energy. Each unplanned response fragments attention and increases mental fatigue. When the day leads you, you move from one demand to another without rhythm. Leading the day restores rhythm. You decide when to focus deeply and when to rest. This balance protects energy and improves effectiveness. Leadership over the day is not about controlling everything. It is about controlling your response. Unexpected events will always arise. The difference lies in whether these events dictate your state of mind. When you lead, you remain grounded even when plans shift. You adjust without panic because your sense of direction remains intact. Time feels different when you lead it. Instead of racing against the clock, you move with it. Tasks are approached with presence rather than urgency. This presence improves quality. You make fewer mistakes, communicate more clearly, and think more strategically. Leading the day also requires boundaries. Without boundaries, every request becomes an obligation. Boundaries are not barriers, they are filters. They protect what matters most. By saying no intentionally, you preserve space for meaningful work and rest. Morning habits often determine who leads. If the day begins in chaos, regaining control later is difficult. A calm, structured start sets the tone. This does not require rigidity. It requires awareness. Simple actions performed deliberately signal to the mind that you are in charge. When you lead the day, you choose priorities based on values rather than pressure. This alignment reduces inner conflict. You are not constantly torn between what you want to do and what you feel forced to do. Action feels purposeful rather than reactive. Leading the day strengthens confidence. Each decision made consciously reinforces self-trust. You begin to rely less on external direction and more on internal clarity. This independence is quiet but powerful. Distraction thrives when leadership is absent. Notifications, noise, and constant input pull attention outward. Leading the day involves reclaiming attention. You decide when to engage and when to disconnect. This control improves focus and reduces overwhelm. Energy follows attention. When attention is scattered, energy drains quickly. When attention is directed, energy stabilizes. Leading the day allows you to place energy where it produces the greatest return. You stop wasting effort on activities that do not align with your goals. Leading the day also improves emotional regulation. Reaction amplifies emotion. Leadership creates space between stimulus and response. In this space, you can choose calm over frustration, patience over haste. This choice improves relationships and decision-making. Responsibility increases when you lead. You no longer blame the day for feeling rushed or unproductive. You take ownership. This ownership is empowering. It shifts focus from complaint to adjustment. Leading the day requires practice. Habits must be built. Distractions must be managed. Clarity must be revisited regularly. This effort is worthwhile because it compounds. Each day led intentionally strengthens the next. When you lead the day, You end it with a sense of completion rather than exhaustion. Even if everything is not finished, you know that what mattered most received attention. This satisfaction supports rest and recovery. Leadership over the day also teaches adaptability. You learn to navigate change without losing direction. Flexibility becomes a skill rather than a reaction. This adaptability reduces stress and increases resilience. The day itself is neutral. It does not push or pull on its own. How it feels depends on who is leading. When you lead, time becomes a resource rather than a threat. Pressure transforms into challenge. Movement replaces stagnation. Leading the day shapes identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is constantly catching up and start seeing yourself as someone who directs momentum. This identity influences choices automatically. The habit of leading the day extends beyond schedules and tasks. It affects how you think, speak, and move. You act with intention rather than impulse. You respond with clarity rather than confusion. You lead the day when you decide before reacting, focus before rushing, and choose purpose before pressure, shaping each hour with awareness and direction instead of allowing circumstances to dictate your state of mind and actions throughout the unfolding moments of time